It's your man Alex, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my take on a messy burst fade self haircut. So let's get right into it. So to get started with today's messy burst fade, I'm going to be putting in the first guideline using my trimmers. These are the Glaker trimmers. They also came with the clipper, which is a set for about $30. And the trimmers also have a T-blade on them, which obviously makes the blade a little bit wider, giving you more of a wider range to cut with the blade, and also helps with doing lineups and putting in really sharp lines for your hairline. Now just going in with the first guideline, going slightly above the top part of my ear, and I'm kind of creating it like a frame going around my ear, like a 90-degree angle going horizontally, 90-degree angle going vertically as well, literally just creating a little like boxed frame going around my ear. And when I get toward the back, I'm not really trying to cut too much hair off, I'm just creating that downward line. And now for the second guideline, I'm going to be using the no guard lever open, and I'm going up again another 3/4 of an inch from that previous guideline, literally following the same exact movement. Now you're going to have to tweak the clippers around a little bit. Notice how right there I had them facing sideways instead of up and down. So depending on the way that your hair grows, you're going to need to adjust the clipper as well when you're cutting your hair. So for me, when I get toward the back by like right behind my ear, I have to angle the clippers a little bit differently than I have to by my temples. So now I'm going in with the number 1 guard lever open. Notice how every single guard is with the lever open, and I'm going up again 3/4 of an inch. So keeping it consistent for each guideline, 3/4 of an inch, lever is open, going up incrementally with the guards. So I'm basically just following the same exact steps as before, just going up 3/4 of an inch, making sure that each side of my head, the left side, the right side, are perfectly even, and that one side of my head isn't lopsided or one's higher or lower than the other. And so now for the final guideline, I'm using the number 2 guard lever open, again going up about 3/4 of an inch for this guideline. Now you can also use either a headband or duck clips to keep your longer length on top out of the way, but you know, I got a little bit lazy, so I was just using my hands instead, which is not really an issue. Now with the number 2 guard lever open, I'm kind of blending the hair already into that existing longer length above it, so I'm not trying to go up like with the head shape. I'm trying to flare it outward a little bit, so I blend it in a little bit as I'm cutting, if that makes sense. So I'm not going with the curvature of my head, I'm kind of blending at the same time by flicking away. Now to go in and fade out all of those hard lines, the first hard line is going to be the bottom one, and I'm starting off with the softening process by using the no guard lever halfway open. So the lever is very, very important when you're cutting your own hair, and it's important that you understand what it actually does. So for me, what I like to do is use the no guard lever halfway open to soften the hard line, which gets rid of the hard line by about 50%. So you want to work your way in increments when you're fading out the hard lines. So you can do lever closed, lever halfway, lever open, right? All of those are 3 different increments, and I'm just going in reverse with the lever open for the guideline, lever halfway to soften it up 50%, and now I'm using the no guard lever closed. This is going to get rid of that hard line by about 90-ish%, give or take. And then afterwards, toward the end of the self haircut, you'll see me do some detail work using my thinning shears held in reverse, and that's going to get rid of 100% of those hard lines. So just make sure you're going back and forth with the corners of the clipper and just keep on going until you see that majority of that hard line has been removed. So to remove the next hard line, I'm going to be using the half guard lever closed, and I'm just going to be going and doing the flick out motion with the clippers. Now I also like to use my left hand to kind of stretch out the top of my scalp. This will also open up that area where the hard line is and just give me a little bit more room to do the flick out motion without accidentally going up a little bit too high, and then I create another hard line by accident and have to do more detail work later in the fade. So I'm just going in, doing a little bit of a flick out motion, kind of like the capital letter C. So I'm just scooping in and then scooping away at the same time, but I'm gradually going up the head at the same time while scooping, so it creates that blurry effect. Now going in to get rid of the final hard line, I'm going to be using the 1.5 guard lever closed and following the same exact steps as before. So I'm really just going from underneath the hard line, I'm going up, I'm hitting the hard line, and then I'm going up a tiny bit more, and at the same exact time I'm flicking away from my head. Now obviously it looks like I'm doing it really fast on the video, but that's basically what what the idea is and what you're trying to accomplish, right? Go up, hit the hard line, continue to go up a little bit as you're slowly flicking away from the hard line, and this is going to create that blend, that gradient effect within the fade. So now we have to go in and blend the little bit of that hair by my part line into the longer length on top. So because I'm not really going to be going in and cutting too much of that length on top, I need to start to blend in that fade, right? That smaller, that lower length of hair into the longer length by the top of my head. And what I need to do is use the thinning shears, because they literally only cut like 20% of the hair anyway for every time you snip, which is actually really great, and it's honestly one of the best tools for blending for your hair. So thinning shear over comb is one of the best ways to blend in the fade into the longer length on top, especially that hair by your part line, which is like maybe like a 2 to a 5 guard, somewhere in that range, and it just makes life really easy. So, and you also want to make sure, this is like kind of the hard part, when you blend in with burst fades, you have to use the comb and kind of blend in toward the back as well. And that's, I know it's not easy, but the more you practice, the better you're obviously going to get. Now, using the reverse thinning shear method, which is a method that I've discovered when cutting my own hair, this is honestly one of the greatest ways to detail the fade. And so basically you take your thinning shears and you flip them in reverse, and you point cut directly at anywhere on the fade you see bulky spots and you see any hard lines. So I'm literally just point cutting directly at the fade, any hard lines, any bulky areas where I see that the fade isn't gradient. And this is honestly one of the greatest things, the best ways that I've discovered to making the fade really stand out and just be more profound. It's such a game-changing technique. I highly recommend that you guys give this a shot the next time you give yourself a fade. Now, a burst fade cannot be complete without doing the lineup around your head. So I like to start in the back of my head, and this is honestly where it really matters the most. It's very tricky and a little bit difficult because, obviously it's hard to bend your arms around like that and to get the trimmer to point perfectly horizontally. But the more you practice, the more you understand the mirror setup, the better it's going to be for you. And of course, if you have somebody in your house that can help you really fast, by all means, just have them help you really quick and then just take over from there. But again, if you need help with the mirror setups, I have a YouTube video. It's called The Best Mirror Setup for Self Haircuts, and I'll leave that linked in the card section above for you guys as well if you need any help with your mirror setup. But again, this is just one of those things where you need to take your time and be very patient. Now, to go in and continue with my forehead area, I'm going to be putting on a headband to push back that longer length on top. And what I like to use is my smaller set of scissors just to cut by my forehead, by my fringe area, because it's a little bit safer than just using my trimmers. I know most people like to use their trimmers for this area, but for me, I feel a little bit more calm, more safe, more at peace. It's safer on my mind, I'd say, than using trimmers by my forehead and then accidentally narrowing off your whole, top of your head. So to avoid that, I just use my smaller scissors, and then of course I just use my trimmers, of course, to do the vertical bars down my forehead, and then the C cup going around my eyebrow and my temples. And this is going to really clean up the fade, make everything really come together. You know, lineups do such a great job making the haircut really stand out, so you definitely don't want to skip these steps for your self haircuts. To finish off the haircut, I'm using some organic clay by Kouras for a natural high hold matte finish. What I like to do is take about a pea-sized amount of product, rub it between my palms until it's creamy, take a nice whiff of that beautiful rosemary oil aroma, and work it evenly throughout my hair. Depending on my hair length, I'll usually add 1 or 2 more pea-sized amounts of product to give me a hold that lasts the entire day. Organic clay is made with just 6 high-quality, all-natural ingredients that nourish your hair while keeping it perfectly styled. So if you want healthy, nourished hair with a perfect all-day style, check out our products using the link in this video. And so this is my take on a messy burst fade self haircut. Let me know in the comments below how you think the haircut turned out and what other hairstyles you'd like me to try out next. I mean, just look at how blurry the fade came out and how using organic clay really makes my hair look super clean, healthy, and styled to perfection. And also, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, check out Organic Clay by Kouras, and watch this video if you want to take your self haircuts to the next level.